Yes, in continuation of this play, let us move on. Joan of Arc. In continuation, what does she say? They are determined that I shall be burnt as a witch, and they sent their doctor to cure me, but he was forbidden to bleed me because, yeah, therefore to bleed me because the silly people believe that a witchery leaves her if she is bled. So he only called me filthy names, means bad names. Why do you leave me in the hands of the English? Joan of Arc is questioning the judges. The in charges who were taking care of me during this custody, they are treating me very bad by providing uh, spoiled food and using filthy language, I mean bad language. Why do you leave me in the hands of the English? I should be in the hands of the church. And why must I be chained by the feet to a log of wood? Are you afraid I will fly away? Children, have you observed the way of questioning? Right. So, Joan of Arc questions whether they were afraid of her flying away as a witch. Witch means with some magical powers, a woman with magical powers. Deestimate. What does he say? Harshly, what does he say? Woman, it's not for you to question the quote. It is for you to question. Sorry. It is for us to question you. Corsels. When you were left unchained, did you not try to escape by jumping from a tower 60 feet high? If you cannot fly like a witch, how is it that you are still alive? Joan. I suppose because the tower was not so high then. It has grown higher every day since you began asking me questions about it. De-estimate. Why did you jump from the tower? So he questions Joan of Arc. Joan, how do you know that I jumped? De-estimate. You were found lying in the moat. Why did you leave the tower? Joan. Why would anybody leave a prison if they could get out? De-estimate. You tried to escape. Right. John, of course, I did, and not for the first time either. If you leave the door of the cage open, the bird will fly out. De-estimate. He rises from his sitting position. That is a confession of heresy. I call the attention of the court to it. So, de-estimate points out one important point. That is the confession of heresy. Heresy means here going against the rules of Christianity. John, heresy, he calls it. Am I a heretic because I try to escape from prison? De-estimate. Assuredly, you are in the hands of the church, and you willfully take yourself out of its hands. You are deserting the church, and that is heresy. John, it is great nonsense. Nobody could be such a fool as to think that. Deestivate. You hear, my lord, how I am reviled in the execution of my duty by this woman. So Deestivate sits down indignantly. Caution. I have warned you before, Joan, that you are doing yourself no good by these pet answers, means careless answers. Joan. But you will not talk sense to me. I am reasonable if you will be reasonable. The Inquisitor. This is not it in order. You forget, Master Promoter, that the proceedings have not been formally opened. The time for questions is after she was sworn on the Gospels to tell us the whole truth. The Inquisitor intervenes. He, in the middle of these arguments, the Inquisitor intervenes and he points out to the master promoter and reminds the proceedings have not been followed properly. So what did he say or suggest? He suggested that Joan of Arc, the culprit, who was charged with mm, escaping from the prison, she should be sworn on the Gospels. For first four books of the Bible, they are called Gospels, to tell us the whole truth. As you know, the court proceedings in the movies. First of all, the culprit uh, makes oath, promise by uh, laying the hand on the holy book. Here the gospel is the holy book of uh, the Christians. So then, John, you say this to me every time. I have said again and again that I will tell you all that concerns this trial, but I cannot tell you the whole truth. God does not allow the whole truth to be told. You do not understand it when I tell it. It is an old saying that he who tells too much truth is sure to be hanged. I am weary of this argument. We have been over it 9 times already. I have sworn as much as I will swear, and I will swear no more. So Joan of Arc is not willing to repeat the swearing in to make oath on the holy book of the Christians. She is not willing to uh, repeat to swear. Corsels, my lord, she should be put to the torture. Then, adding fuel to the fire, Corsels, they are all in good understanding to torture, to punish Joan of Arc, the peasant French girl who was in the hands of British army. But before the punishment, they are suggested to produce her before the bench of judges. Now the arguments are going on. The Inquisitor, you hear, John, that is what happens to the obdurate. Think before you answer. Has she been shown the instruments? So here, shew means shown. Abjurate means stubborn, not listening to one's suggestion is called abjurate. The executor, they are ready, my lord. She has seen them. John, If you tear me limb from limb, until you separate my soul from my body, you will get nothing out of me beyond what I have told you. What more is there to tell that you could understand? Besides, I cannot bear to be hurt. And if you hurt me, I will say not anything you like to stop the pain, but I will take it all back afterwards. So, what is the use of it? So, Joan of Arc repeatedly questioning the judges and their companions. Ladwin, one more character. This there is much in that we should proceed mercifully. So Ladwin is somewhat kind to Joan of Arc. He's somewhat uh, moderate. I mean, elderly man, Corsells. But the torture is customary. Customary means is compulsory. So Ladwenu mentions to show mercy towards Joan of Arc, but the Corsells is against Ladwenu's proposal. I mean suggestion. The Inquisitor. It must not be applied wantonly. If the accused will confess voluntarily, then its use cannot be justified. So, so that punishment, the torture should not be cruelly. So here, wantonly means cruelly. So the Inquisitor has suggested so not to be very cruel towards Joan of Arc. So with this, let us stop today's session, and we have some questions. So shall we go on? Whether how far you have understood this session and its contents. Right. We can, in the examination point of view, you will be asked to answer some questions. Right. So how many characters are there in this play? Try to remember the characters, number of characters we have already discussed. Children, are you able to recall previous topics, previous sessions? Next one. So, what is the discourse? I mean, you know very well there are two types of discourses, major and minor discourses. So, what is the discourse of this A reading? So, can you remember? Can you answer? Next one. Who was Joan of Arc? And where is she in the present episode? Okay, children. And next question. What are the charges filed against Joan of Arc? Next question. How did she feel when she was presented before the judges? Next question. Was Joan of Arc happy with the in charges? Uh, was she interested in standing before the judges? Next question. Who are in favor of Joan of Arc and who were very harsh, very rude with Joan of Arc? And with this, let me conclude today's session and see you in the next session. Okay, children. Bye. Hello, children. Welcome back to the online classes provided by the DEO of Nalgonda district to reach out the children remotely during this COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so let's continue with the previous session for class 9 English of Unit 7. Let's have a glance. So let me show you. Yes, the content of this unit A reading. Do you remember the title of this A reading, children? Yeah, exactly. You are right. The title of this A reading in Unit 7 of your Class 9 English is The Trial. Yes? Now, let me move on. So, in the last session, the main character, Joan of Arc, was in the custody of British Army, and she was produced before the judges, the inquisitor and the court cells. Right. So some of the judges, some of the characters of this play are in favor of, they are supporting Joan of Arc not to torture more severely, and some of them are against that voice. Okay, let me continue. So I gave you some questions on the completed content yesterday. Right. Now, let us move on. The arguments are going on at the court before the judges, bench of judges. Court cells. But this is unusual and irregular. She refuses to take the oath. Ladwenu says, so he is somewhat disgusted, means disappointed. Do you want to torture the girl for the mere pleasure of it? So here you can understand that Ladwenu is indirectly supporting the French girl, the brave girl, Joan of Arc. Next, Corsels. He was confused. Bewildered means confused. But it is not a pleasure, it is the law. It is customary. It is always done. The Inquisitor. That is not so, Master, except when the inquiries are carried on by people who do not know their legal business. Corsels. But the woman is heretic, means she is against the Christianity, rules of Christianity. I assure you it is always done. Caution. So decisively says, it will not be done today if it is not necessary. Let there be an end of this. I will not have it said that we proceeded on forged confessions. Confession means uh, accepting one's mistakes, one's faults, admitting one's faults. We have sent our best preachers and doctors to this woman to exhort and implore her to save her soul and body from the fire. We shall not now send the executioner to thrust her into it. Corsellus. Your lordship is merciful, of course, but it is a great responsibility to depart from the usual practice. Joan of Arc. Thou a rare noodle master, do what was done last time is thy rule. Yay! So these are some rare words, new words. Thou, right? So right, thou means old-fashioned you in the poetry, noodle in a slang manner, courseless. So he rising from the seat. Thou wanton, dost thou dare call me noodle? So Joan was seriously addressing, calling courseless, noodle. It's somewhat uh, indicates the angry attitude, anger of Jonah. Corselus was very angry and he rises from his seat. Inquisitor. Patience, master, patience. There are heated arguments were going on. I fear you will soon be only too terribly avenged. Avenged means taking revenge. Corsels. Noodle indeed. So he was very angry with the word used by noodle. So not the noodles you eagerly swallow at the wayside stalls. These noodles are not that type of noodles. So don't be ready to have some noodles. So he speaks within himself and sits down. Must she was much disappointed. Inquisitor. Meanwhile, let us not be moved by the rough side of a shepherd lass tongue. So here, lass means a girl. Who is that girl? Do you know? Yes, I know you can guess easily. She is not none other than that Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc means nay, means it's a old fashion of poetry. Nay means no. I am no shepherd lass, though I have helped with the sheep like anyone else. I will do a lady's work in the house, spin or weave against any woman in Rowan. So she strongly opposed the word used by the inquisitor shepherd girl, and she right. The inquisitor. This is not a time for vanity. Joan, you stand in great peril. The inquisitor tried to convince the girl, Joan of Arc, Joan. I know it. Have I not been punished for my vanity? Vanity means proud. If I had not worn much cloth of gold surcoat in battle like a fool, that Burgundian soldier who would never have pulled me backwards off my horse, and I should not have been here. Chaplain. So the chaplain also in favor of, not in favor of this girl. If you are so clever at woman's work, why do you not stay at home and do it? So Chaplin also opposed Jones' idea. Joan of Arc. There are plenty of other women to do it, but there is nobody to do my work. Caution. Come, we are wasting time on trifles, means unimportant things of arguments. John, I am going to put a most solemn question to you. Take care how you answer for your life and salvation or a stake on it. Will you, for all you have had said and done, be it good or bad, accept judgment of God's church on earth, more especially as to the acts and the words that are imputed to you in this trial by the promoter here? Will you submit your case to the inspired interpretation of the church militant? So he was very serious in his argument. John, I am faithful child of the church. I will obey the church. So Joan did not step backward. She supported her faith in the church. Caution. So he, leaning forward, means you will, John, will you obey the church? He questioned with the hope, John, provided it does not command anything impossible. So these are the arguments on the appearance of Joan of Arc at the court before the bench of judges, a group of judges. So finally, Cauchan sinks back in his chair with a heavy sigh. The inquisitor purses his lips and frowns. Ladvenu shakes his head pitifully. By George Bernard Shaw. There is a note. At the age of 19 in 1431, she was tried for heresy, means going against the rules of Christianity, and then burned at the stake as a witch. In 1909, she was beatified and in 1920 canonized a saint. That's why she is called Saint Joan, the high rank and respectful rank in Christianity. Now, this is all about the play of this unit, the trial. So, this trial is quite different from the movie's trial. As you watch many movies, and you have already watched many movies, you might have witnessed this type of arguments at court. So they are all created. Let's have a glance at this glossary. Glossary means words with their meanings. So these are the words which you came across while reading the play, reading the content. Bishop, a clergyman who supervises a number of local churches. Page, a youth being trained for the medieval rank of knight and in the personal service of knight. A youth attendant. Heresy, here a belief which is against the principles of Christianity. Gospels, the first four books of the Bible are the New Testament. Weary, tired, obdurate, adamant, or stubborn. Shown, British variant of shown. Hello, children. Welcome to online classes provided by the DVO Nalgonda to reach out the children remotely during this COVID-19 pandemic. Today, we are going to have a glance at the entire reading A of Unit 7 in Class 9 English. Okay, shall we move forward? Okay. Let me show you a very interesting picture uh, which reminds you of this unit. Right, of course. So, introduction about me is not necessary today. Yet, have a glance at this. So, next one, I would like to show you a picture. So, we have already discussed all these things. Before that, let me show you. Let me show you a picture deals with this unit in connection with content, glossary. I think glossary, right. Implore. We have already completed half of this glossary. Let me finish the remaining ones. Right. Want only means acting cruelly or violently or deliberately or provokingly. Exhort, insist, implore. Its verb form means plead, to request. Noodle, here, head. It's somewhat uh, unhappy situation, angry mood. Thou means you, thy, your, dost, do, nay, no. So these are all old and poetic English words. Next one, girl. So the meaning of girl for lass. So lass means girl. Surcoat, the outer coat or garment worn over armor, in particular a short sleeveless garment worn as part of insignia of an order of knighthood. Trifles, things of little value or importance. At stake means in danger of being lost. Imputed means attributed bad quality to somebody. Militant means radical or rebel. Okay, so now let me show you the next task for this reading A. Right. Let me pose some questions to you regarding this A reading. What do you mean by the word trial? Children, do you remember the meanings of trial, which has multiple meanings? Yes? Ready? Yes, you are right. Trial means a simple test. Second meaning, appearance at a court. before the judges. Second question, when did this incident take place? So can you answer? Right? So try to remember the content which was already argued, discussed. Next, third question, what is the location of the scene? Remember the location, place of this scene. So it was already given in the introductory part. Fourth question, very easy one. Who was Joan of Arc? Right? Next, number 5. Why was Joan tired? Means loss of strength, looking very dull. Next, sixth question. How was the stage set up? So if you go back to introductory part of this scenery, you will easily answer this question. So who are sitting on the scenery and what were they doing? So how their sitting position arrangement is set up, and on the right and on the left, like that. So next one, have a glance, characters. Next, comprehension is already completed. So one more important task of this unit 7 reading A. Yes, look at this clipping. So it may be repeated, but in a manner of impressing the students, to draw the attention of the students or children. So I have prepared this mind mapping. Okay, mind mapping. Mind mapping in the sense to draw the attention of the children in a different manner of teaching techniques. Okay, now look at the heading trial is the title of the A reading. Next, characters on the right and left. Joan, Inquisitor, D'Estevet, Chaplain, and Corsels. Okay, children, let me move on. Right. So here you can see you can easily identify the task, right? So this is well known. Let me show you the important part of this A reading, language element or grammatical part of this unit. If or conditional clause. If or conditional clause. So this deals with grammatical element. Right? So if clause or conditional clause consists of 3 steps. Step 1, step 2 and step 3. Probable, improbable and imaginary. Okay. So this conditional clause deals with conjunction if. So hope you remember this type of task at 6th level. In the 6th class, you have already discussed this conditional clause by your teacher. If you do exercise daily, you will be strong. Here the condition is doing exercise. If You is subject, do V1 form, first form of the verb, and exercise is an object. So this is the condition, and the result will be you will be strong. If you fulfill this condition, the result is like that. So here the first clause, this is a subordinate clause and the main clause. Second one, if you did exercise daily, you would be strong. So here I have chosen one verb to apply to all the remaining sections. Right. Third one, if you had done exercise daily, you would have become strong. This is quite natural. So, hope children you might have understood the entire A reading, and try to be prepared for the upcoming task of making uh, preparing a skit or play on your own by using some characters and dialogues for that characters, right? So I hope you will try your level best to prepare a skit or a play on your own. Let us discuss the remaining tasks in the future classes in the next sessions. Okay, right? Okay, children, see you in the next session, and hope you will be very delighted to meet again in the next session. Thank you. Thank you very much.